love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. Don't be scared. Just give me up. Don't be scared. Back. I won't stop, I'ma fight until there's nothing left. It's so on, you're gonna be hurting bad, cause I've been to hell and back. You don't wanna make me mad, I stay strong, you will never see me crack. And if you get in my way, you gonna feel the wrath. Gotta say it to my face while he's looking back. Mirror breaks after math, when I hate I attack. I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. Don't be scared. Just give me up. Don't be scared. That's not a very long time to play Roblox. Like, it takes like 20-30 minutes to play some of the story games. So I figured instead we may as well just bully an established author, like we did last week on Friday. I was supposed to do that yesterday. Also, I'm sorry, I totally forgot yesterday was Memorial Day. I was not prepared. Excuse me, I still have my stupid sinus infection. Shout out to the JoJo XOXO. Thank you for following me. And I think I already shouted out Dorita Reen, but in case not, hey, thank you. So now we're going to go back to, where's the button? Here it is. Making fun of established author KJR or whoever it is that wrote the thing. I don't know. She has some bad tweets that I don't like, so I don't really remember her name. I don't even know what her @ is on Twitter. Just her real name or what? I don't know. I have no idea. So, when we left off, Dumbledore, we were supposed to see him as this, like, sympathetic character, but already the clues were here that Rowling doesn't know how to be, like, a genuine good person, because the character we're supposed to, emotionally connect with does not know how to comfort a friend who's grieving the deaths of some people she cared about. Just pats her on the shoulder and offers her a lemon drop. Like, who the fuck is this man? And why is he like this? So, let's see. So here we go. So McGonagall is astounded that Voldemort was killed by an infant baby. And she asks, how in the name of heaven did Harry survive? And Dumbledore, like a liar, says, we can only guess. We may never know. And this sentence establishes on, page whatever, very early, book 1, chapter 1, Dumbledore is a fucking liar. Because either he knew right here what the issue was the reason he survived, and he's fucking lying. Or in the later books, when he tells Harry it was because of your mother's love that protected you, because that does, magic spell stuff or whatever. I don't remember his exact reasoning, but he says it was his parents' love, specifically his mom's, protecting him, and that's what did it. So he's lying one of those cases. Either he knew now and he lied to McGonagall because he's a lying son of a bitch, or he's lying to Harry later and being like, I don't know, this sounds good. Sure, this is what it was, Harry. So, I don't know why we're supposed to like him. He's not a good guy. Professor McGonagall pulled out a lace handkerchief and dabbed at her eyes beneath her spectacles. Dumbledore gave a great sniff as he took a golden watch from his pocket and examined it. Now, I don't know if we're supposed to assume that sniff was him also crying, but that is not at all how it comes off, right? Like, it comes off like him kind of scoffing at McGonagall, for being emotional about this. So, I just don't know why we're supposed to like this horrible man. It was a very odd watch. It had 12 hands but no numbers. Instead, little planets were moving around the edge. It must have made sense to Dumbledore, though, because he put it back in his pocket and said, Hagrid's late. I suppose it was he who told you I'd be here, by the way. Which, why didn't he tell McGonagall? She seems like a close friend of his. God, he's such a bitch. Yes, said Professor McGonagall, and I don't suppose you're going to tell me why you're here, of all places. I've come to bring Harry to his aunt and uncle. They're the only family he has left now. You can't mean the people who live here, cried Professor McGonagall, jumping to her feet and pointing at number 4. I mean, I agree, like, of all the people in the whole fucking world. Listen, Harry was already like an undocumented baby, so he's just plopping this undocumented child right on these people's doorstep. Like, what are they supposed to fucking do? Yeah, sorry, my, sister, who has been missing as far as the government's concerned for the last at least decade, right? Married this undocumented guy who, as far as you know, doesn't exist, and had this undocumented baby, which I found on my doorstep, and they're both dead. Where are they buried? I don't know. Anyway, I have their son. Like, what the fuck is he doing? They're gonna get, if nothing else, that's gonna raise suspicion that there's a fucking secret society and shit. Like, the investigation into where the fuck did this baby come from? Like, because of authorial will, it all works out. But, like, you can't just steal a baby, Josephina, or whatever the author's name is. Like, you can't just do that. Josephina, you can't just take a baby and put it on a doorstep and have it be, like, fine. They have to get his birth certificate and shit now. How's he gonna go to fucking school? How are they gonna take this bitch to the doctor? How do we even know if this bitch had any shots? Like, the wizarding community seems very anti-vax. So, like, what the fuck? This is a terrible plan. Just keep him in the secret society with some other undocumented people and don't even involve the British government. Does this mean that the wizarding prime minister had to go to the UK prime minister and be like, listen, we're gonna make some paperwork magic happen and we're just gonna let this boy be? Like, why make it so fucking complicated? Also, why is it up to the headmaster of a school this infant never attended to determine the housing placement of this infant? Like, is he also the head of Magical Department of Children and Families? Like, does he also do wizarding health and human services? Like, the incest in this, I mean, not literal, the, organizational incest, like, is just ridiculous in this community. Like, why is it the fucking headmaster's job? And why did he entrust it to the fucking gardener, who's a felon, by the way? I mean, he was wrongly accused, but as it stands, he asked his felon gardener to take custody of an infant because I guess the government couldn't... Do they not have foster care in the wizarding community? If Dumbledore didn't care about these two people and his parents just died, like, would it be up to the neighbors to figure out what to do with the baby? Or Anyway, so this just shows that Josephina, Rowena, whatever her name is, doesn't know how to fucking look ahead more than 10 seconds. I mean, it makes sense to kids, but reading back to it as an adult, this is such a clusterfuck. Anyway, Dumbledore, you can't. I've been watching them all day. You couldn't find two people who are less like us. And they've got this son. I saw him kicking his mother all the way up the street, screaming for sweets. Yeah, that's what babies do. Babies do this. I'm sorry. We're supposed to hate him for being a baby, and I just can't. I mean, don't get me wrong. He becomes terrible later on because of his parents' awful job raising him. But, like, yeah, babies do this. Anyway, Harry Potter, come and live here? Yeah, I mean, it's also poor planning for a million other reasons. But yeah, exactly, Minerva. What the fuck? It's the best place for him, said Dumbledore firmly. Because, you know, he's a dick. His aunt and uncle will be able to explain everything to him when he's older. I've written them a letter. Because, you know, the best thing to do when you're deciding to spring an infant upon some people who were not expecting an infant to care for is to write them a fucking letter. That'll do it. Good job, Albus. You did it. This is how you arrange custody of a baby. Like, what if they saw the baby and they were just like, nope, and brought him to a firehouse or whatever, when this baby was on our doorstep? Like, there's no way to guarantee they're going to keep him. Anyway, maybe some arm twisting happened off screen. It's the only thing that makes sense, because they disowned that whole wing of the family, so why the fuck would they raise his son? Dumbledore must have had some shit on them. Anyway, a letter. Yeah, Minerva has the exact same problem with it I do. A letter? Repeated Professor McGonagall faintly, sitting back down on the wall. Really, Dumbledore, you think you can explain all this in a letter? These people will never understand him. First of all, ouch, I'm these people too. But second of all, he'll be famous, a legend. I wouldn't be surprised if today was known as Harry Potter Day in the future. There will be books written about Harry. Hey, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, you're reading one. Every child in our world will know his name. And she's got a good point too, because if he's a celebrity, he's going to need, like, a bodyguard or whatever. And we find out later he did. Dumbledore talks some shit here about, like, yeah, exactly, this is like placing him in hiding. But they had to get bodyguards for him anyway. So why not just raise him fucking knowing? It's stupid. It's stupid. Dumbledore can't plan ahead. Just like Josephina. A letter? No, hang on. Exactly, said Dumbledore, looking very seriously over the top of his half-moon glasses. Also, I just want to bring this up. She says half-moon glasses so many fucking times in this series. It's a half circle, right? That's what a half circle is. She's trying to make it sound mystical, but it's half a circle. Who has half circle glasses? Like, I'm assuming it's because he only needs them for reading, but this bitch ain't reading. What is he doing? Put that shit in your pocket, sir. Moving on. It would be enough to turn any boy's head. Famous before he can walk and talk? Yeah, well, I mean, look at the Kardashians, right? Famous for something he won't even remember. Can you see how much better off he'll be growing up away from all that until he's ready to take it? No. No, I don't see the logic in that. He's going to be famous for the same thing whether he finds out at 2 or 22. So I don't see why lying to him for like a decade is going to really like help at all. But anyway, Professor McGonagall opened her mouth, changed her mind, swallowed, and then said, Yes, you're right, of course. But how is the boy getting here, Dumbledore? She eyed his cloak suddenly as though she thought he might be hiding Harry underneath it. And, like, that says a lot, too, right? Like, she really thought he might have just put a baby in his jacket. Like, it says a lot that she suspects he would just tuck a baby into his fucking jacket, right? This man is suspicious as fuck. Hagrid's bringing him. Again, the felon gardener. Yeah, he got the custodian who has a record to bring the baby on a goddamn motorcycle. So he just makes so many poor choices. How did he fail upwards into this position of power in the community? It's amazing. You think it wise to trust Hagrid with something as important as this? I would trust Hagrid with my life, said Dumbledore, not answering the fucking question. Yeah, maybe that would be fine. Maybe trusting him with your life is the right choice. Is trusting the gardener with a record who's driving an ostentatious motorcycle to this location the correct choice in this situation is Minerva's question, and Dumbledore just dodges, he sidesteps that entirely. He's not going to answer your questions, Minerva. He's beholden to no one. He does. Dumbledore do what Dumbledore want. I'm not saying his heart isn't in the right place, said Professor McGonagall grudgingly, but you can't pretend he's not careless. He does tend to... What was that? Because, again, see, Minerva, I don't know why they passed her up for headmaster. I guess because it rests on seniority or some shit. But she's making the right question. She's asking the right questions and making the right decisions. Is asking this particular man to do this particular thing a good decision? A question Dumbledore appears to never ask, as he just waltzes through life doing whatever he fucking wants. A low rumbling sound had broken the silence around them. It grew steadily louder as they looked up and down the street for some sign of a headlight. It swelled to a roar as they both looked up at the sky, and a huge motorcycle fell out of the air and landed on the road in front of them. Again, why did Dumbledore do that whole showy thing where he, like, pulled the lights out of the street lights and shit so that no one could see them? If he was just going to be loud as fuck in the street, prompting people to come outside with flashlights, it's just, he doesn't think of anything, and neither does Josephina. If the motorcycle was huge, it was nothing to the man sitting astride it. He was almost twice as tall as a normal man, and at least 5 times as wide, which... the proportions of that don't make sense. Like, I'm trying to imagine how you can be, like, 3 orders of magnitude wider than tall. Like, he'd have to... That doesn't... I get it. She's trying to say this man was fat as fuck, and I hear it. But, like, the way she described that, like... I don't know why they say she has a way with words, because what the fuck did she just say? He looked simply too big to be allowed, because, you know, Rowena doesn't like things that are different. Like, as I said in the last video, like, we're supposed to not like the Dursleys, but it's so obvious she identifies with them, because why would she, the author, describe this man the way, like, Vernon Dursley would, if she didn't agree with Vernon? Like, she knows she's the villain, she just hopes you don't. Anyway, he looked simply too big to be allowed, and so wild. Long tangles of bushy black hair and beard hid most of his face, and he had hands the size of trash can lids, and his feet in their leather boots were like baby dolphins. Because she just really wants you to know this is just a outrageous man. In his vast, muscular arms, he was holding a bundle of blankets. Also, I want to go back and talk about, like, she doesn't like people with, I'm assuming, curly hair. She describes people as having bushy, unruly hair all the time. And I think she just means curly hair. Like, I think she just means curly hair and possibly, like, afro texture hair. Like, I don't think she likes anyone who doesn't have, like, straight, like blonde hair. Because I've never heard her ever refer to someone as having, like, luxurious curls, or, like, bouncy curls, or, like, any hair that was beautiful other than straight and sleek and shiny. So, like, a part of me is wondering if I'm supposed to be viewing Hagrid as, like, a person of color right now, but negatively, because he's wild and bushy and the size of a fucking circus tent. You know what I mean? Like, it's the kind of thing you don't notice as a kid, but as an adult reading back, like, I'm not surprised she had those fucking horrible opinions. Listen, look at how she writes people that aren't... I mean, first of all, she writes everyone as a fucking atrocious monster. I don't think she knows what people look like. Maybe it's just her own hatred of, like, how she, like, it's an internalized thing. I don't know. But either way, like, this really has me questioning, like, is this a racism? Because she does some, like, outright racism later. So I wouldn't be surprised if this one, she was like, how do I get across that he was this absolutely outrageous black guy? Like, I'm going to say he has, like, really bushy hair, and I'm going to say he looks wild. Like, anyway, I can't say for certain because she's never fucking said about this. I don't know, maybe tomorrow I'll spin the wheel and she'll have some unwanted tweet about Hagrid's race. But, I don't know. That's just the vibe I'm getting after everything else I know about her. And, like... why was anyone surprised she was a bad person? It's right, she wrote herself, it's right there, she did it. Anyway, in his vast muscular arms, he was holding a bundle of blankets, because that's how you hold a baby, just in a pile of blankets where they can't breathe. Hagrid, said Dumbledore, sounding relieved. At last. And where did you get that motorcycle? See, this is what I'm talking about. He didn't think about whether or not this was the right person for the job. He showed up on a motorcycle that Dumbledore didn't know he had access to. And it's sort of important to, like, discuss how you're transporting an infant to and from. Leaving aside car seats, because I guess wizards, wouldn't have that anyway. Do we know Hagrid knows how to take care of a baby? Because based on how it was a bundle of blankets clearly covering the infant's face, I'm not convinced he does know how to take care of a baby. So, why did we trust someone with no experience transporting a baby to transport a baby? I don't know. Dumbledore just do what he wants. He said, that guy. So we can get this unflattering description of him real early in the book. Actually, no. Oh, shit. That would... Fuck. No, because that would make sense, because Rowling has this tendency to write people who have to do, like, menial jobs as, like, coded non-white and stuff. So, like, no, this would make a lot of sense. Dumbledore can't simply carry a baby himself. That's a job for the servants, which Hagrid is, as the groundskeeper. God damn it. No, that's making more and more sense the more I think about it. It's worth... See, that's the thing. If you just read this book and kind of don't think about it, it's sort of fun. But the more you think about literally every other sentence, the more you're like, oh, fuck. Shit. God damn it. Ugh. How is she so fucking rich? Does nobody read things and think about the sentence? No, that's probably what it is. Nobody thinks about sentences. To be fair, I didn't the first time I read it, but I was 11, so I don't know about everybody else. I might have been younger than 11? What year did these books come out? It doesn't matter. Moving on. Borrowed it, Professor Dumbledore, sir, said the giant, climbing carefully off the motorcycle as he spoke. See, he's subservient. He knows his fucking place. Disgusting. Young Sirius Black lent it to me. I've got him, sir. No problems, were there? No, sir. House is almost destroyed. I can't... I'm really uncomfortable now that I know the implication of Hagrid calling this man sir. Like, they're not equals. And that's fucked up. They're both adults that work at the same place. Like, I get that Dumbledore's the boss, right? But I ain't never replied to any of my bosses, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Are you kidding me? We're both adults. My first job, when I was, like, 16, I never told that like, 40-year-old bitch, yes, ma'am. Are you telling me this fucking giant of a man who could probably pulverize Dumbledore if he wanted is doing the yes, sir, no, sir bit? I'm just saying, it makes me uncomfortable. Rowling told us who she was right from... I'm sorry, Rowena told me who she was right from the fucking start. Like, yikes, guys, is really all I can say. Anyway, no, sir, house was almost destroyed, but I got him all right before the muggles started swarming around. He fell asleep as we was flying over Bristol. Which, like, doing the map logic, where the fuck did these people live? I have to look at a map to figure it out. Dumbledore and Professor McGonagall bent forward over the bundle of blankets. Inside, just visible, was a baby boy, fast asleep. I mean, asleep, or did he suffocate in that, like, little cave of blankets? Under a tuft of jet black hair over his forehead, they could see a curiously shaped cut, like a bolt of lightning. I'd also like to comment here, the tuft of hair bothered me as well on my more recent read-through, because, while I was prepping for this, because, like, why is this baby bald? He's, like, one here, right? So he should have, not, like, a ton of hair, but he should have more than, like, a single tuft. His head should have all hair. Like, why did she do this baby like that with a bald-ass head? Anyway, is that where? Professor McGonagall whispered. Yes, said Dumbledore. He'll have that scar forever, he says, as if you don't have scars forever, and normally they just go away. That's how scars work, Dumbledore. They're there forever. Can't you do something about it, Dumbledore? No, bitch, scars are forever. Even if I could, I wouldn't. Scars can come in handy. I have one myself above my left knee that is a perfect map of the London Underground. That's just put in there unexplained. But that's crazy. Like, one, it implies he takes the subway often enough that that scar on his knee is useful. But if he takes the subway often enough that a scar on your knee is useful, you probably kind of already have the subway memorized, right? You kind of know where it goes. So leaving aside the absolute insanity of he got a scar on his knee the shape of the fucking London Underground, right? Leaving aside the absolute improbability of that, this man's just fucking lying, right? It's such a weird lie because who needs a map scar? Ain't he got magic? Can't he magic a map to himself? I'm just saying, it's not as well written as people give it credit for. Anyway, well, give him, I mean, like, I get it. It was supposed to be funny, right? It's just, but it isn't. It's just weird. Like, imagine you're having any conversation with a person. But especially, you're looking at this baby with an injury, and you're like, can you help him? And he's like, no, I can't, because one day his fucking scar might be as useful as this scar I definitely don't have of a map. Like, how does he maintain relationships with people? If someone said that shit to me, I'd just be like, oh, yeah, no, that's fine. And I'd never speak to them again. Like, you're not going to help this baby with an injury because you have that sounds like a tattoo, but anyway. Like, he's so unhinged, and we're just like, yes, the benevolent man with Alzheimer's that runs the only school in the country. We're supposed to like this, and I just don't now. Anyway, Dumbledore took Harry in his arms and turned toward the Dursleys' house. Could I say goodbye to him, sir? Asked Hagrid. And now this establishes that Hagrid already had, like, a relationship with this family and this child. So the fact that he's like, sir, at the end of that, like, bitch, he knows this boy. Let him say goodbye. Like, what are you doing, Dumbledore, you fucking ass? Making him say sir to you and shit all the time. Dumbledore's way too comfortable with hearing that language. He bent his great shaggy head over Harry and gave him what must have been a very scratchy, whiskery kiss. Yep, that's what beards are like. Thanks for bringing it to our attention to make it seem gross, Josephina. Then, suddenly, Hagrid let out a howl like a wounded dog. Yeah, like, why is she, like, making him into an animal, right? Like, it's uncomfortable, it makes me uncomfortable, and it makes me suspect she has some, like, other reason. Because, like, earlier McGonagall was literally an animal, and she humanized the shit out of that animal, and McGonagall's a white person. But now this person, who cannot turn into an animal, is being animalized all over the place. So, I'm just saying. Shh, hissed Professor McGonagall. You'll wake the muggles. Sorry, sobbed Hagrid, taking out a large spotted handkerchief and burying his face in it. But I can't stand it. Lily and James dead, and poor little Harry off to live with the muggles. Yeah, see, they're so mean to him. Yes, it's all very sad, but get a grip on yourself, Hagrid, or we'll be found, McGonagall whispered, patting Hagrid gingerly on the arm. Gingerly, why? Do you not see each other every fucking day for, like, 9 months of the year? 8-9 months of the year? Like, why are you acting like you don't know this man? Ain't you just fought a war with him? Be polite, at least. Damn. He laid Harry gently on the doorstep, took a letter out of his cloak, tucked it inside Harry's blankets, and then came back to the other two. Because, again, that's how you just change custody of a baby. You just put a letter in the blankets. You put him... I don't think they even ring the doorbell. They just leave him there overnight. Like, what if there was a fucking jackal... Or not a jackal. What are they fucking called? I was going to say coyote, but they're in the UK. They don't have coyotes. A fox or whatever. Fucking eats his face or some shit. They don't give a fuck. Whatever. Hope for the best. How is Dumbledore in charge of hundreds of children for the vast majority of the year? He doesn't know how to take care of one infant. It's wild. How did he... God damn it. For a full minute, the three of them stared and looked at the little bundle. Hagrid's shoulders shook, Professor McGonagall blinked furiously, and the twinkling light that usually shone from Professor Dumbledore's eyes seemed to have gone out. I mean, because he's dead inside. We know. Well, said Dumbledore finally, that's that. You know, because that's, again, how you transfer custody of a baby. Well, that's that. Let's get going. I got other appointments to be at, parties to go to. Let's roll out. Like, the sensitivity he lacks is astounding. We have no business staying here. May as well go and join the celebrations. Well, we certainly left that baby on a doorstep. Let's go get crunk, am I right? Like, God damn it. Yeah, said Hagrid in a very muffled voice. I'll be taking Sirius's bike back. Good night, Professor McGonagall. See, he doesn't say ma'am to McGonagall. He only says it to Dumbledore. Professor Dumbledore, sir. This man is awful. Also, something I missed. So he has this bike from Sirius. Sirius has not been arrested yet. Spoilers if you haven't read this book that's like 15 years old at this point. At a minute, it's maybe even 20 years old. If you haven't read a book from the 90s, spoilers, Sirius gets arrested later, and that's why Harry doesn't live with Sirius. But he wasn't arrested yet. So, why couldn't he live with his godfather, who was, set to be his guardian if anything happened to his parents, right? Like, I think Dumbledore, if I'm remembering the plot of this fucking stupid story correctly, Sirius was set to take the fall for something. Or I might be thinking of like a fanfic I read. It doesn't matter. Why the fuck at this juncture couldn't he live with his godfather? Like, he was written into chapter 1. Rowena thought of this in advance and was like, yeah, this is going to be a character. So, did she do the godfather thing later? Or, like, why isn't he living with his godfather? Because that's who would have next of kin rights over the aunt and uncle who hasn't spoke to him in his whole life, right? Like, he's the next of kin. His parents formally set that up. So, how come Dumbledore gets to override that? Do they not have... No, they have a court system. So, do they just not have family court? Or... How did Dumbledore just steamroll? Or did he just kidnap this baby and be like, whatever? But then how did Hagrid borrow this man's bike? It's so stupid. It doesn't make sense. She just really needed him to have like a sad backstory, and here it was. Anyway, wiping his streaming eyes on his jacket sleeve, Hagrid swung himself onto the motorcycle and kicked the engine into life. With a roar, it rose into the air and off into the night. I shall see you soon, I expect, Professor McGonagall, said Dumbledore, nodding to her. And here's another thing. Why are they not on a first-name basis outside of school? I understand calling each other that at work. But, like, I've been a teacher for, like, 10 years. We don't just be calling each other our work names. Like, well, we had this dinner where we, like, went drinking as a group one year. And you got me fucked if you think I was calling them, like, Mr. Smith and, like, Mrs. Jones or whatever. Absolutely not. That's fucked up. Like, the whole thing is stupid. Professor McGonagall blew her nose in reply. Dumbledore turned and walked down the street, and here he does his ostentatious thing for no reason again, just because he likes to be the star of the show. On the corner he stopped and took out the silver put-outer. He clicked it once, and 12 balls of light sped back to their street lamps, so that Privet Drive glowed suddenly orange, and he could make out a tabby cat slinking around the corner at the other end of the street. He could just see the bundle of blankets on the step of number 4. Again, you might want to, like, ring the doorbell. Like, I understand it's... Actually, what time of year is this? It's never mentioned. If it's anything other than, like, the height of, like, July or August, he's about to let this baby freeze to death on the doorstep. And for what? For what? Ring the goddamn doorbell. It takes 2 seconds. He can poof himself to anywhere else on the globe aside from his fucking school, apparently, and I guess the government. But, like, no, they have places, don't they, where you can apparate into... It doesn't matter. He can poof himself almost anywhere on the globe. He can just doorbell and go. He doesn't even have to worry about getting spotted running away like a normal person. Anyway, let this baby freeze to death. It puts hair on your chest, I guess. Good luck, Harry, he murmured. He turned on his heel, and with a swish of his cloak, he was gone. See? He did it anyway! Ring the fucking bell, buddy! A breeze ruffled the neat hedges of Privet Drive, which lay silent and tidy under the inky sky, the very last place you would expect astonishing things to happen. Harry Potter rolled over inside his blankets without waking up. One small hand closed on the letter beside him, and he slept on, not knowing he was special, not knowing he was famous, not knowing he would be woken in a few hours' time by Mrs. Dursley's scream as she opened the front door to put out the milk bottles, because remember, it's like 1930 right now. Fun fact, it's not actually... I think canonically this is happening in like the 80s or the 70s. So, but turns out actually, no, it's like the 40s, and she's putting out the milk bottles. Nor that he would spend the next few weeks being prodded and pinched by his cousin Dudley. He couldn't know that, at this very moment, people meeting in secret all over the country were holding up their glasses and saying in hushed voices, "To Harry Potter, the boy who lived." Also, he couldn't know that because he's a baby. Like, he didn't even have the option to know that. So, that wasn't possible for him. I don't know why we had this header in the middle. Why'd we waste this page? Anyway, chapter 2, The Vanishing Glass. And, trying to remember this chapter, how long it is. Whatever. We have like 30 minutes, so I'll move on. But we've now, I guess, final closing thoughts on chapter 1. We established Dumbledore as a character. He's supposed to be likable. I don't think he is. We've established a bunch of people's characters. We've established sort of the world. And yeah, it's not great. Like, it's definitely evocative, you know? I can see it. I understand what she's saying. It's not so different from our world. Unfortunately, she kept the racism, and that's a point in her books. And she's like, the text of her book is anti-Nazi, technically. I think, because, like, isn't the thesis of the series that, like, Voldemort is basically Hitler, and he, like, threatens the existence of their world or whatever. But, like, I don't think she necessarily, in the subtext, thinks he was wrong to do it. You know what I mean? Because she puts a lot of, like, subtle racism sprinkled in. And, like, just a lot of subtle prejudice is sprinkled throughout. Like, there's classism, there's sexism, there's fatphobia, there's, at least hints of anti-Black racism here. I can't say for certain that's what this is. But it's certainly not good, right? Like, she certainly got a lot of bullshit happening. So, I don't think she knows how to... I think she knew it was the right message to send without necessarily agreeing with the message, if you know what I mean. Like, if she knew to be transphobic at this part of the book, I'm sure there would have been some kind of... And Harry decided to stay a boy forever because being cisgender is the best kind of bullshit would have been written right in, I'm sure. Anyway, chapter 2, The Vanishing Glass. Nearly 10 years had passed since the Dursleys had woken up to find their nephew on the front step, which, again, we gloss over this. She didn't have to get him a birth certificate. She didn't have to get him anything. Okay, all right. But Privet Drive had hardly changed at all. The sun rose on the same tidy front gardens and lit up the brass number 4 on the Dursleys' front door. It crept into their living room, which was almost exactly the same as it had been on the night when Mr. Dursley had seen that fateful news report about the owls. Only the photographs on the mantelpiece really showed how much time had passed. 10 years ago, there had been lots of pictures of what looked like a large pink beach ball wearing different colored bonnets. Again, why is she so mean to this infant? Like, we're supposed to hate him for being, like, fat and ugly, but, like, honestly, like, calm the fuck down. Like, it's a baby. What's the baby supposed to do about being fat and ugly? It's a fucking baby. Like, he can't do shit about it. Why are we making fun of him? Anyway, but Dudley Dursley was no longer a baby, and now the photograph showed a large blonde boy riding his first bicycle, on a carousel at the fair, playing a computer game with his father, being hugged and kissed by his mother. The room held no sign at all that another boy lived in the house, too. Yet Harry Potter was still there, asleep at the moment, but not for long. His Aunt Petunia was awake, and it was her shrill voice that made the first noise of the day. "Up! Get up! Now!" Harry woke with a start. His aunt rapped on the door again. "Up!" she screeched. Harry heard her walking towards the kitchen, and then the sound of the frying pan being put on the stove. He rolled onto his back and tried to remember the dream he had been having. It had been a good one. There had been a flying motorcycle in it. He had a funny feeling he'd had the same dream before. Wow, it connects to the previous chapter. Cool writing trick, Rowling. His aunt was back outside the door. "Are you up yet?" she demanded. "Nearly," said Harry. Well, get a move on. I want you to look after the bacon, and don't you dare let it burn. I want everything perfect on Duddy's birthday. Harry groaned. What did you say? His aunt snapped through the door. Nothing, nothing. Dudley's birthday. How could he have forgotten? Harry got slowly out of bed and started looking for socks. Now, it's well established that he sleeps in a cupboard under the stairs. Unlike in the movie, it's basically like laying room only. Where the fuck are his socks? Like, that he can't find them. Like, if he had a whole room or a drawer or whatever, maybe. Ain't they just under his pillow or some shit? Anyway. He found a pair under his bed. Wait, but, so he has a bed? Whatever. And after pulling a spider off of one of them, put them on. Harry was used to spiders because the cupboard under the stairs was full of them, and that was where he slept. Now, I have a question about this. I've lived in a lot of places. Some of them had spiders. But the spiders never liked to chill out in the places that I would chill out. Because they don't like having giants walking through their webs and stepping on them, and they generally like to preserve their life, which crawling in an area that someone's in all day and night isn't that. So where the fuck are these spiders coming from? Is he summoning them? Is Petunia placing spiders in every night? They don't want to be there. Why are they there? Like, I get that it's just supposed to be like, wow, he had such a tragic upbringing with the spiders under the cupboard, but like, there's not going to be spiders. I'm sorry. I can't get past it. It bothered me the first time, too. Where the fuck are these spiders coming from? There wouldn't be spiders. Uh-oh, what happened to my connection? Hello? Okay, there we go. Second, I want to know when he first started sleeping under the stairs. Like, did he move in and they were immediately like, oh shit, we got to put this baby in the cupboard under the stairs? Or like, when did they start? Because let me tell you, a 2-year-old's not going to stay in the cupboard under the stairs. They're not going to do it. You put them to bed in a regular bed. They get up and walk around. So at what age did they convince him to sleep in this cupboard? And if it's any age other than day 1, why? If it's day 1, why also? Like, what kind of fucking choice is that? But like, was there a point where they were just like, you know what, that's it, get under the cupboard? Or like, because like, we find out later they had a second room that he could have lived in. So like, what made and like, if they adopted a kid, did social services never, does he just stay no, because he goes to school and he gets glasses, so he's seeing doctors. Also, why didn't he ever tell a doctor, like, hey, I live under the stairs? Or like the people at his school, like, they say he has like shitty rundown clothes and stuff, and he and his cousin go to the same school. Like, they would have noticed. Like, social services is shit, don't get me wrong. Like, social services misses stuff all the time. I'm just saying, it's really like implausible and weird. That's all I'm saying. That no one ever stepped in and was like, he sleeps where? With the spiders. I guess with a cot. How did they get a fucking bed under there? There must be a big ass closet. I've never seen an under stairs closet big enough to put even a cot in there. So that's another thing too. Did they buy him a crib as a 1-year-old, or did they just be like, well, enjoy this cot under the stairs? Or I don't know. This is clearly a detail put in to make you feel bad for Harry, but it doesn't make sense. I've known a bunch of different abusers. They don't, like, child abusers, because I was a teacher and I had to report people, and like, I've never heard of something like this, because it's so like cartoony. I'm picking on it for no reason. Moving on. When he was dressed, he went down the hall into the kitchen. The table was almost hidden beneath all of Dudley's birthday presents. It looked as though Dudley had gotten the new computer he wanted, because you know how you just like wrap a computer and put it on the kitchen table? Fun fact. Also, wait, but no, so he was born in the 80s? Canonically? Hold on. No, I have my computer right here. What year was Harry Potter born? Because, like, how big is this computer? Potter, there we go. What year was Harry Potter born? Go, internet, go. $1980. So he's 11. It's 1991. computer is big as fuck. That's enormous. That is an enormous computer. And wait. Okay, wait. So if he's born in 1980 and there's pictures on the mantle of him playing computer games already, I'm not saying it's impossible, but like, there weren't that many computer games. Dudley playing computer games on the mantle. There weren't that many computer games in 1991. I mean, I was pretty young in 1991, so my memory's faulty. But I don't think I knew anyone who had a computer in 1991. So, and it's not like I live in like the backwoods or whatever. I'm from New York City. So like, if there was going to be people with computers, I'd fucking know them. Or I would assume. They definitely didn't have them at, well, they had them in school in like 95? I don't know. Anyway, I'm just saying it must have been a fucking enormous computer. That's all I'm saying. That's enough to cover the table. He doesn't need any more gifts. The table's already covered. Not to mention the second television. Hold on. Back up to that one. Televisions were also enormous in 1991. Televisions were fucking huge in 1991. Rowena, what are you thinking? So he's got a big ass, so basically the computer would be TV sized anyway. Those monitors were enormous. I mean, I guess the TV could be bigger if they got him a big screen TV, but Jesus Christ. At this point, we're really just establishing that the Dursleys have bank. That's what this portion of the chapter is about. Rowena just wants us to be, like, confident that the Dursleys got that. Like, they have money. We just want you to know, they do make bank. Petunia doesn't even have to work, okay? Like, moving on. Second television and the racing bike. For a child, see, it goes on to say this next sentence, hold on. Exactly why Dudley wanted a racing bike was a mystery to Harry, as Dudley was very fat and hated exercise, unless, of course, it involved punching somebody. One, she really wants you to hate how fat this boy is. Like, as if Dudley himself just, this is some physiognomy shit right here before that was trending, right? Like, his rudeness is just in every pore of his body, and it's making him fat. Like, first of all, even at 11, at this point, there's still a lot. That's just his parents being shitty. Dudley has only just begun to make his own personality choices. And two, like, he's not making choices about food in the house. He's not making maybe he wanted the exercise bike or the racing bike because he knew he was fat and he wanted to exercise. Like, why are we picking on this boy for being fat? It's totally unrelated to why he's a bag of shit. The reasons to hate Dudley have nothing to do with his fatness, but she keeps mentioning the fatness because we're supposed to hear that and go, ew, a fatty. And like, who's surprised that she's a shallow bitch on Twitter? Who's fucking surprised? She said right here on page, whatever this is. It doesn't have numbers. Whatever fucking page this is. And this isn't even the first page where she was like, haha, evil got fat. Like, fat is evil. Like, who's surprised? I'm not surprised. She was fucking awful from the start. She didn't lie. She told us who she was immediately. Oh, it says right here, page like 18. Okay. Whatever. Page in the first 20 pages, she told us. Anyway, moving on. Dudley's favorite punching bag was Harry, but he couldn't often catch him. He didn't look it, but he was very fast. Yeah, Harry has athletic ability because we like him. Like, does he get a lot of practice running? Maybe he's very fast because he is constantly running away. We don't want to talk about that. It's just for some reason, skinny boy fast is a surprise. Okay. Perhaps it had something to do with living in a dark cupboard, but Harry had always been small and skinny for his age. See, he's the good character, so he's not only small, but skinny. Okay, see, that's how we know he's good. He looked even smaller and skinnier than he really was, because all he had to wear were old clothes of Dudley's, and Dudley was about 4 times bigger than he was. She really likes just exaggerating how fat people are. Hear this? This boy is a fucking whale, guys. Watch out. Uh-oh, here comes the fatty boomba laddie. Look out, it's Dudley. Like, why are we doing this? It's so petty. Harry had a thin face, knobbly knees, black hair, and bright green eyes. He wore round glasses held together with a lot of scotch tape because of all the times Dudley had punched him on the nose. Again, as a teacher in a socialized medicine society, I don't live in one, but if we did, and even if we don't, if a child comes to school with glasses that are taped together and you ask the child, "Hey, what happened to your glasses?" and they say, "My cousin punched me on the nose again, and this time it broke my glasses," protective services are called that day. Like, how was he allowed to live here? Is Dumbledore doing the, like, Jedi mind trick thing in the background being like, nobody sees this abuse, it's for character development? Like, bruh. He wore, let's see. The only thing, and also, how did he not break his nose after getting punched so many fucking times? It broke the glasses, but not his nose? The only thing Harry liked about his own appearance was a very thin scar on his forehead that was shaped like a bolt of lightning. You know how everybody loves the scars you have, especially if they're right on your face? It builds character. He had it as long as he could remember, and the first question he could ever remember asking his Aunt Petunia was how he'd gotten it. "In the car crash when your parents died," she had said, "and don't ask questions." Don't ask questions. That was the first rule for a quiet life for the Dursleys. So, like, nobody wants to know who his parents were. Like, the school must know, right? Like, Uncle Vernon entered the kitchen as Harry was turning over the bacon. "Comb your hair," he barked by way of a morning greeting. "Hey, guys, did you buy him a comb? That might be part of the problem. He lives in a closet." Anyway, about once a week, Uncle Vernon looked over the top of his newspaper and shouted that Harry needed a haircut. They want this boy to be bald, or... Harry must have had more haircuts than the rest of the boys in his class put together, but it made no difference. His hair simply grew that way, all over the place. So, I understand, based on what we read about Hagrid, right, that a lot of people have said that Harry is also black-coated, because this is how she talks about people of color. She describes them just real unflatteringly, except for, like, Cho Chang, who is just a real bad racist trope that we're not getting into now. And, like, I do kind of believe that. This is how she writes people of color. But at the same time, like, I kind of don't believe that she would make her main character a person of color. Like, I really don't. I don't believe she would do such a thing. Because she, I don't think, recognizes it in herself, but she's heckin' racist. But at the same time, I'm going to read this just assuming he's mixed race, I guess, because the Dursleys appear to be white. I mean, their son's blonde, so I'm just going to guess that they're white people. I know it's not a given, but we'll just assume it. So in that case, that makes it even worse that they're constantly like, "God, I can't stand to see the fucking hair coming out of your head. Cut all that hair off your head." Like, there's no good reading of the Dursleys didn't want this boy to have hair, but there's a worse reading, and we're just gonna go with it because I'm not charitable to Josephina. Harry was frying eggs by the time Dudley arrived in the kitchen with his mother. Dudley looked a lot like Uncle Vernon, so see, Petunia didn't step out, that's how you know. He had a large pink face, not much neck, small, watery blue eyes, and thick blonde hair that lay smoothly on his thick, fat head. Hey, did you guys know that Dudley was fat? Does anyone want to hear about how fat Dudley is? Because turns out he was a fat kid with fat distributed all over his fat body. We're never going to let that one go. Like the author is making more fun of this boy than any child in the UK would have ever bothered. Like, you move on after a while, right? Like, at some point, haha, that kid is fat has played out. Not for Josephina. Aunt Petunia often said that Dudley looked like a baby angel. Harry often said that Dudley looked like a pig in a wig. And, like, that's a good pun, I guess, right? Like, wow, those things rhyme. But also, like, we just can't let this go. We just can't let go how fat this boy is, as if it's his fault. Harry put the plates of egg and bacon on the table, which was difficult as there wasn't much room. Dudley, meanwhile, was counting his presents. His face fell. Here's this moment. 36, he said, looking up at his mother. That's 2 less than last year. Darling, you haven't counted Auntie Marge's present, see? It's here under this big one from Mummy and Daddy. All right, 37 then, said Dudley, going red in the face. Harry could see a huge Dudley tantrum coming on, and began wolfing down his bacon as fast as possible in case Dudley turned the table over. This is another thing where child services needs to be called. Because he does this at school then, right? If he doesn't, I mean, shit. He really runs that house. But, like, the fuck? Aunt Petunia obviously scented danger, too, because she said quickly, and we'll buy you another 2 presents while we're out today. How's that, Pupkin? 2 more presents. Is that all right? And see, that's why he has this problem. I'm not positive that Rowling understands that. Like, I think she does. She's trying to get us to not like them, but I don't think she understands that it's not, like, an innate badness that this child has. Literally, they created this. I don't know that she's 100% aware of that, but anyway. Dudley thought for a moment. It looked like hard work, because fat people can't be smart. Finally, he said slowly, so I'll have 30. Now, keep in mind, this boy is supposed to be turning 11 today, and he can't do 37 plus 2. He can't count 7, 8, 9. He can't do this. That's a common elementary school joke. Why was 6 afraid of 7 because 7, 8, 9? He can't fucking add 2 at 11. Like, why is she trying so hard to make him bad in every possible way? He's a bully, he punches people, he's fat, he's ugly, and he can't add. Like, first of all, not being able to add isn't even a trait you should dislike someone for. Some people just can't add. It's fine. Like, so adding that on as an additional reason we should hate this boy is just spiteful. Anyway, 39 sweetums, said Aunt Petunia. Oh, Dudley sat down heavily and grabbed the nearest parcel. All right, then. That sounds like the response from someone who doesn't know if 39 is bigger than 37, and honestly, they should get him some help. They won't, because they're a problem, and mostly they won't, because Rowena doesn't seem to fucking know that this isn't an innate, just bad thing about him. Why am I supposed to hate him for having a learning disability? Like, Josephine, like, she fucking said, right here, she said, I hate people with disabilities, and you should too. Who was surprised when she turned out to be an awful bitch? Uncle Vernon chuckled. Little Tyke wants his money's worth, just like his father. Attaboy, Dudley, and he ruffled Dudley's hair. No comment. I think we all heard it. At that moment, the telephone rang, and Aunt Petunia went to answer it while Harry and Uncle Vernon watched Dudley unwrap the racing bike. A video camera. What the fuck? A video camera in 1991 is like $1,000. Probably maybe like $800. It doesn't matter. It's a lot of fucking money. What is an 11-year-old in 1991 going to do with a fucking video camera? What are they gonna fucking do? Nothing. Especially because you still had to have the tapes and shit for that back then. It wasn't digital. Anyway. Video camera, remote control airplane, 16 new computer video games, all of the computer video games of the year 1991, I guess. And a VCR. Ooh. So he can watch his home videos, I guess. He was ripping the paper off a gold wristwatch. Stop it. Why is an 11-year-old getting a gold wristwatch? Like, she's trying so hard to make us hate the opulence given to this boy. But, like, honestly, it just makes his parents sound like an idiot. Who buys a gold wristwatch for an 11-year-old boy? Who does such a thing? No one fucking does that. Like, anyway. When Aunt Petunia came back from the telephone looking both angry and worried. Bad news, Vernon, she said. Mrs. Figg's broken her leg. She can't take him. She jerked her head in Harry's direction. Now, I don't know why an elderly woman can't babysit a well-behaved 11-year-old boy with a broken leg, but there it is. Mrs. Figg said, fuck you. Also, we find out later she was one of Harry's bodyguards. Why the fuck did she say she can't watch him? Like, I It's fucking dumb. It's just bad writing. She needed Harry to go to this place, so she made him go to this place. Dudley's mouth fell open in horror, but Harry's heart gave a leap. Every year on Dudley's birthday, his parents took him and a friend out for the day. Oh, hold on, I just got a chat. Hey, what up? What's up, Dorito-reen? You having a good day? Anyway, I'll keep reading while I wait. Where was I? His parents took him and a friend out. Auntie Dudley, me and the homies hate my boy Dudley. I mean, Rowena tried real hard to make you hate Dudley. Like, I don't know if you just got in, but like, Rowling spends like 4 paragraphs reminding you that this man, not even man, he's 11 on this, at this page. He's like fat. I don't know if you picked up on it, but Rowling wanted you to be 1,000% sure to know that this boy is fat. He's fat as fuck, and we should hate him for it. And that's not his fault. He's a bully. We should hate him for that. But yeah, fucking hate Petunia for sure. Petunia's a bitch. Hate the fuck out of Petunia. I agree with that. But anyway, the writing on this sucks ass. So anyway, every year on Dudley's birthday, his parents took him and a friend out for the day, to adventure parks, hamburger restaurants, or to the movies. Also, I really love that she says hamburger restaurants here, because that also incorporates McDonald's and Petunia Wyland for straight up abusing a child because she hates his mom. I mean, that's what's up. I agree with you on that one. Like, what the fuck is her deal? I mean, and like Vernon's deal too, because he just like lets that happen. I mean, I guess they both do it. The whole group of them suck. Dudley sucks the least though, because like, look, he had no part of this until he turned like 12. I mean, apparently he punched Harry or some shit, but like, they basically grew up as brothers, and as someone who grew up with a brother, they punch. They do that. Anyway, so they're going to hamburger restaurants, which McDonald's is a hamburger restaurant. Like, imagine it's your birthday. Your parents have spent $4,000 buying you a TV, a computer, a video game console. Not even a video game console, because it's 1991. There's only like one of those. They bought him a VCR, 16 computer games, a remote control airplane, a bike, a video camera, etc. Like, they spent $4,000 on your birthday, and that's the reason why you going to Burger King for your birthday. Happy fucking birthday. I'm not saying if you can't afford shit, that's fine, but if it was me and my parents spent $4,000 at least buying me all this ridiculous shit, I would be like, what if instead of a TV and a VCR and a bike and every other fucking electronic available in 1991, what if instead you bought me like one of those things and we could go to, I don't know, the Olive Garden for a change? No? Okay, you know? At least Dudley was a product of his parents or something, but Petunia and Vernon, grown adults, straight up neglecting and abusing a child. Right, he wants 38 presents. He can't have less, but here's the thing, like, you can have 38 small presents. Get that bitch shit from the Dollar Tree. Get him a box of red cups, you know, solo cups. There you go, happy fucking birthday. You have 40 gifts now. But yeah, like, they're grown-ass adults. I was saying earlier, like, I don't know how they, like, child services weren't called, because it mentions earlier that, like, his glasses were broken and held together with tape, but he goes to fucking school. So how did his teachers not be like, hey, why are your fucking glasses broken as fuck? And his response would have to be like, oh, because they get punched in the nose. Like, and no one felt the need to mention any of that. But even further, like, let's go back to chapter 1 when they just drop this undocumented baby on the steps. Like, yeah, why are you malnourished as fuck? How come these clothes don't fit you? How come they keep fucking cutting your hair all the time so you bald as fuck? Like, child services was never brought in. But more importantly, Dumbledore dropped an undocumented baby on their doorstep. That boy didn't have a birth certificate. He wasn't born in a hospital. Like, so how the fuck did they even get this boy into school? Like, how did they get anything for him? Like, Dumbledore, I mean, not to excuse Petunia and Vernon, because they're both trash, but how the fuck did they get him anything? Yeah, why your hair all patchy? Like, why they didn't, like, how did they get him? I'm not excusing Petunia and Vernon, but like, Dumbledore really gave them a fucking mess to deal with. You can't just show up with an undocumented baby and be like, no, I didn't steal him. It's my sister and her undocumented husband, whom don't have any documents with this country's baby that I'm adopting. Yeah, I'm anti-Dumbledore too, for real. Like, how the fuck did he, like, think that was gonna work out? You got an undocumented baby. He didn't leave any documents with Harry either. He left him a letter just saying, like, sucks to be you, here's your new son. Like, every adult in this story sucks ass. McGonagall and Hagrid, they're okay. They're fine. They're not outstanding members of society, but they're just not as bad as every other adult. So anyway, every year, Harry does not get to go to Burger King or the movies or an adventure park. Every year, Harry was left behind with Mrs. Fig, a mad old lady who lived 2 streets away. And, like, I understand that we're supposed to interpret that she's crazy, but, like, I don't... Dorita Rain, your message was held for moderation because you said gay ass. How dare you talk about gay asses in my chat? How do I release this comment? Hold on. Allow. Here we go. Anyway, Dumbledore, it's added a permitted term of gay ass. Okay. Anyway, Dumbledore really said, my gay ass will flamboyantly and showingly drop a whole child on this bitch and knowingly have his only godfather... Right, that's what I was saying. Have his only godfather arrested while dropping the child off to a bitch with a known grudge against his parents. Also, how the fuck do they not have child protective services in Wizardland? Like, how do they not... How did he get around, like, giving custody to the person who had legal, or do they not even have legal anything there? But shouldn't the godfather is the next of kin. When his parents died, custody automatically goes to him. And he apparently had him or whatever for some period of time. Yeah, I guess not either. Like, it's fucking wild. And then Rowena over here is writing this book going like, yeah, that's good. This makes sense. I'm gonna just have it. I'm gonna just have it where he just gives the baby on a doorstep. And I was mentioning too, what time of year did he get dropped off? Because if it's not July or August, like the height of summer, she's dropping this baby off. It's gonna be like 55 degrees at night, and she doesn't even ring the doorbell. Right? How did he fucking just take this guy and be like, and take this baby and be like, whatever, this, bippity boppity, this baby's my property. Like, how did he fucking do that? You can't just do that shit in society and then drop him off undocumented with just a letter that says, wow, so sad how his parents died. Please care for this baby. Like, that's a crime. That's criminal. Like, I would fully believe 100% if we found out later that Vernon and Petunia were at first very sympathetic and going, oh my God, poor Harry's an orphan. See, I knew his parents would never come to anything. And the next 8 years were just hell trying to get him documented. And then that's it. All their goodwill's gone. They're like, you are a pox upon our family. You were a curse sent to us by my fucking sister, and I hate you. Like, doesn't excuse it, but that's a backstory I would believe. Like, that's why he lives under the stairs. At one point, they were like, you know what? We don't even fucking... Oh, God damn it. As far as the state's concerned, you don't exist, so get in the closet. Like... Also, Harry comes out of the closet at some point, and Rowling doesn't take the opportunity to let us know he's gay, so... Anyway, back to learning about his babysitter. Harry hated it there. The whole house smelled of cabbage, and Mrs. Figgs made him look at photographs of all the cats she'd ever owned. We're supposed to think this is a bad time. I would love to look at a photo album full of cats that an old woman had once owned and have her tell me stories about all those fucking cats. Like, I'm not mad about that. That sounds pretty good. I mean, I don't know why her house smells like cabbage, but, some people... just, I don't know, maybe she likes to eat a lot of cabbage, or maybe she has, like, I don't know, intestinal problems, and she's got to have cabbage soup. Who knows? Like, why are we supposed to hate this lady with cats? Now what? Said Aunt Petunia, looking furiously at Harry as though he'd planned this. Yeah, I mean, it says a lot that she's like, Harry, did you break this lady's leg? You think she'd mention if he did, but I guess not. Harry knew he ought to feel sorry that Mrs. Fig had broken her leg, but it wasn't easy when he reminded himself it would be a whole year before he had to look at Tibbles, Snowy, Mr. Paws, and Tufty again. It's like a bad time because it's not stereotypical child stuff, but, you know, it's just a child. Right. Like, I guess. Even as a kid, though, I would have been like, tell me about this fucking... I mean, I guess it's just because I like cats. But, like... I mean, we don't even have to make being at Mrs. Fig a bad time. Like, she could have had a fucking, I don't know, a slide with a pool in her backyard, because canonically, Dudley's birthday's in, like, June, or early July, something like that. So she could have had, like, a pool slide, and, like, a hot tub, and, like, a swing set, and a trampoline, and it still would have sucked ass to be there, because, you know, your cousin's going to fucking... Yeah, she could have just been a dope grandma, and it wouldn't have mattered, though, because you know your cousin is getting taken to the fucking amusement park or whatever a hamburger restaurant is supposed to be, or whatever. Like, you know he's off having a good time you're not allowed to have. She could have had the best fucking house for kids. She could have had a fucking amusement park for a house, and you still would have been like, wish I could have gone to the movies with Dudley. Like, JKR did not have to go so hard on dunking on this woman to make her house seem shitty. She could have just been like, Harry was jealous, and I would have bought it. It would have made sense. But, you know, whatever. Yeah, for real. That's honestly, like, fuck Dudley for being a spoiled brat moments is that's all she had to put. Just, and Harry was mad about it. That's all. You don't have to drag Mrs. Figs for that. But, you know, Rowling just doesn't seem to know how to write about people without just sounding like she hates everyone in this book. Like, every time she describes someone, it's like, and I hated their guts and they were stupid. Like, she doesn't like any of the people in this book, and it makes me wonder if she likes anyone in the fucking world that isn't her. Okay. So, we could phone Marge, Uncle Vernon suggested. Don't be silly, Vernon. She hates the boy. I mean, a valid reason not to have someone babysit a child, but, like, why are you fucking saying that to his face? Like, they're the worst. The Dursleys often spoke about Harry like this. Yeah, it seems like JKR often speaks about him like this, too. As though he wasn't there, or rather, as though he was something very nasty that couldn't understand them, like a slug. Yeah, except for when they want him to, like, make the bacon or whatever. What about what's-her-name, your friend, Yvonne? She's on vacation in Majorca, snapped Aunt Petunia, because, again, Rowena wants us to know that the Dursleys have bank, and so do their friends. She can go on fancy vacations, okay? You could just leave me here, Harry put in hopefully. He'd be able to watch what he wanted on television for a change, and maybe even have a go on Dudley's computer. I mean, sounds legit. Aunt Petunia looked as though she'd just swallowed a lemon, which should have been choking. You can't swallow a lemon. Excuse me. And come back and find the house in ruins, she snarled. Because why the fuck would he ruin the fucking house? But anyway... I won't blow up the house, said Harry, but they weren't listening. What do they have in the house that they think he can use to blow up the house? Like, why would he blow up the house? I suppose we could take him to the zoo, Aunt Petunia said slowly, and leave him in the car, which is a crime. The car's new. He's not sitting in it alone. They think he's gonna, like, shit in the new car? Like, what? His baguette, right? I guess. I forgot about that meme. He doesn't have a baguette yet, does he? Or are we talking about his other baguette? Anyway, either one, could probably destroy the whole house. Yeah, I remember that. They're called baguettes. I mean, I guess that's not technically wrong because the word baguette does mean, like, stick. But yeah, I don't... Anyway, they're worried Harry and his baguette's gonna blow up the whole fucking... But yeah, so they're like, he can't sit in the car because the car is new, because I guess they think he's gonna just, like, go ape shit in the car. Has he ever done this to them? I really want to know if he's ever just gone ape shit. Magic bread indeed. I really want to know if he's ever actually gone ape shit on them and, like, giving them a reason to think he would do this, or are they just like, I don't know, he can do anything. Hopefully no one ever gives him a baguette, because then we're truly fucked. Points baguette. Dudley began to cry loudly. In fact, he wasn't really crying. It could be bouts of accidental magic, but, like, wouldn't you just be like, yeah, I guess stay home so I don't have to deal with your accidental magic? Like, in fact, he wasn't really crying. It had been years since he'd really cried, but he knew that if he screwed up his face and wailed, his mother would give him anything he wanted. Which I think is an interesting thing, because that's true for children, you know? And, like, you know, he's turning 11, right? Like, he's entering middle school. I feel like he's reached the point, age-wise, where having a temper tantrum is embarrassing. Like, by the time I was, like, 8 or 9, I didn't want to have a temper tantrum because, like, it's embarrassing. Because, like, other kids will be like, ha ha, what a fucking baby. But Dudley's like, I don't care what people say. Who gives a shit? Okay, because he got abused, so he might have had a lot of bouts of accidental magic as a self-defense mechanism, like being bullied and stuff. I agree. I definitely agree. It's just weird, because later in this chapter, we have what appears to be his first bout of accidental magic. I mean, I guess you could say his hair growing back quickly after getting cut, is possibly accidental magic, because he's like, I don't want a fucking haircut, and he grows it back. But, like, it's written like he'd never done any accidental magic before, so, like, I don't understand why everybody's like, wow, Rowling is a master craft of authorship or whatever. Like, she's top of the line authoring. Because, like, the fact that we have to sit here and debate this shit and fill in the blanks for her, instead of it just being obvious because she wrote it well, says a lot. Like, she can't just get shit right, you know? Anyway, Dinky Duddiums, don't cry. Mummy won't let him spoil your special day, she cried, flinging her arms around him. And, like, the whole picture is disgusting. There's a preteen boy wailing in the kitchen who's got to be nearly as tall as his mother. She's embracing him bodily, just fully hugging this bitch, and calling him baby names. Like, excuse me while I vomit. This is the weirdest thing in the entire world. Like, at this point, he's old enough that instead of doing the baby shit, he would have just been like, fuck you, Mom, he's not coming. Like, that's how those spoiled kids act around 5th, 6th grade. You know what I mean? He wouldn't have been, like, bawling in the fucking kitchen. Not happening. Absolutely not happening. Duddy Dums, eh? I'm not even reading this as crying. I'm embarrassed third hand for Dudley. Dudley says he doesn't want that bitch to come. He yelled between huge pretend sobs. He always spoils everything. And, like, again, it does seem like he probably had some accidental magic where he fucking ruined stuff. But, like, we don't get to hear it. Rowling decided that it'd be better if we just thought he was a perfect little child for his whole life until this moment. Like, watch him have really actually fucked shit up in Dudley's life, and that's why they have this rivalry. Like, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. Having grown up with a brother, like, you fight over petty shit. Like, you feel like your sibling ruins shit for you real easy, you know? Like, if I'm in the room when my brother's building a tower and it falls down, I'm nowhere near the tower and it falls down, he'll be like, why the fuck did you breathe like that? And we get into a fight, you know what I mean? And I do the same shit back to him. Right, Harry's a menace too. Guaranteed. There's no way Harry just lived his life as a perfect little cinnamon roll, never actually causing anything. They definitely fought together. Like, so I don't understand why Josephina decided that we didn't need to know that shit. I'd love to hear the things Harry ruined with his accidental... to know. She didn't write that. Then the doorbell rang. Oh, what the fuck? My microphone. Alright. Just then the doorbell rang. Oh, good lord, they're here, said Aunt Petunia frantically. And a moment later, Dudley's best friend, Piers Polkiss, which... Rowling sure does have a way with names. Walking with his mother. Piers was a scrawny boy with a face like a rat. As we all know, rats are the worst. He was usually the one who held people's arms behind their backs while Dudley hit them. Dudley stopped pretending to cry at once. When you're 11. Shut the fuck up, Dudley. Half an hour later, Harry... What the fuck is happening with my microphone? It sounds so awful. Half an hour later, Harry, who couldn't believe his luck, was sitting... No, because him and his little friends really just set fire. Yeah, isn't it? Like, what the fuck is my mic doing? Who set fire, though? Half an hour later, Harry, who couldn't believe his luck, was sitting in the back of the Dursleys' car with Piers and Dudley on the way to the zoo for the first time in his life. I mean, welcome to the mic guy. The zoo guy. Mike, whatever. To the stands. That's true. I forgot about that. I did forget because they thought Snape was cursed. And that's right. They actually literally, no evidence, no, zero. I mean, who needs evidence when you're an 11-year-old who can set fires? Honestly, like, JKR really thought we would find them sympathetic, but as an adult and even more as a teacher, looking back on the shit that Potter and co got up to, I'm like, yeah, they were a fucking menace. I would have been very exasperated with them too. Like, really? Okay, so y'all just set fire to the stands. You went into the forbidden room with the fucking monster dog. You like, it's always you three. Like, there's a throwaway line where she's like, oh, it's always you three, but like, no, I know exactly what McGonagall's talking about there. There's always that group of kids where you're like, oh shit, them again? Right, they should, I mean, I guess because they have to, technically, to teach them how to be less deadly, but God. They should have had, like, training wands where you just like, sorry, certain spells are unavailable to you. No, you can't set a fire, you dumbasses. Absolutely not. Or like the other shit they get up to where they like, you know, make people get stung by bees or like paralyzed or whatever. Like, who gave these kids deadly assault weapons? God damn. I wonder if that bee hex, if you have an allergic reaction to bee stings, do you have an allergic reaction if you get that hex? Even deadlier. Right, they didn't have to teach them that shit. Teach them, I don't know, the spells for cleaning dishes or whatever. Right, don't teach them. And that was something they taught 11-year-olds. 11-year-olds do not need to be taught how to start a fire. Like, if that was some senior year shit, or like next to senior year, you know, junior year, whatever, that makes sense. I was teaching 5th and 6th graders how to make fucking fire. Right, like, I guess because they just came out of a war, but like, it's done now, so if we could just not. Okay, so go on to the zoo. His aunt and uncle hadn't been able to think of anything else to do with him, but before they left, Uncle Vernon had taken Harry aside. I'm warning you, he said, putting his large purple face right up close to Harry's. Also, why is this man's face always purple? It doesn't make sense. Yeah, simply teaching an 11-year-old how to hex someone. Right, like, what the fuck? Like, it's like taking all 5th graders and being like, and this year, you're going to learn how to use a sword. Just cuz. You never know when you might need to learn how to use a sword. Purple face, right up too close to Harry's. I'm warning you now, boy. Right, just why would they go to that corridor in the middle of... Oh, first of all, yeah. In fact, why did they even tell the kids not to go to that... I'm done with this chapter now, because I have to go in like 5 minutes. But, like, why did they even tell them? Right, don't teach them... And why would they use a lock that worked with that spell, too? I'm so with you on this one. Like, why even teach them... If they're going to teach them the door unlocking spell, fine. But, like, so use, like a regular padlock that isn't susceptible. Like, it's the dumbest. Also, why even have just be a regular corridor? Why wouldn't they have it be like some unused classroom that no one wants to go in anyway? And then just lock it, but have no, like, mark it janitor closet. Honestly, that's all you gotta do. Just mark it like cleaning supplies, and no one's gonna go in there forever. Like, why did they have to make it so tempting? Like, honestly, like, having Dumbledore as the headmaster is the stupidest decision that the board of directors of Hogwarts ever made. Because this man is constantly tempting fate, hoping a child will die. Like, I think at this point, he's just taunting death, being like, anytime you want to come snatch one of these children, please kill a child on my watch. I want to see what fucking happens. Like, he's absolutely doing this shit on purpose. And then they're just like, year over year, like, yeah, I guess he can stay the headmaster. He's the best headmaster we've ever had. He's the best headmaster? Kids almost died, like, for 7 years. Kids did die at one point. He's a menace. He's a goddamn menace. And he's having these inappropriate personal relationships. I fail to believe Harry is the only child he took under his wing and was like, hey, you want to spend an inappropriate amount of time alone with me? You want to go, right? What were the other headmasters doing that this is better? Like, I fail to believe he's not the only one. He took off campus on adventures and shit. Like, what wasn't written into this? Like, what else was Dumbledore doing on the alone time with Harry and potentially other children? Like, this has concerning vibes. Right, like, Voldemort, given what we've seen, had bad beginnings, but let's be fair here. Dumbledore's the one who told us that. Like, I would not flinch if we find out later that the reason that Voldemort turned out the way he did was because Dumbledore was inappropriate with that boy. Right, thank you. Thank you for saying what I can't on stream, but I agree. Dumbledore caused a whole ass war because he doesn't know how to keep his hands to himself. That's what it is. And it's always boys too, right? And she said this man is gay. God damn it. I just put all this together. Hold on. She was doing that, gay people are predators thing, wasn't she? God, like, I don't know if she thought of that on purpose, but like, she really wrote that and was like, well, it makes sense. He is inappropriate with the children. He must be a gay. And he like wasn't but hold on, I think Dumbledore is also just a Nazi because wasn't right, she really said that, right? She said that, and then people are like, wow, I can't believe she's transphobic. Like, I can believe it. Look at what she fucking wrote. It's in there. She said it. She really wrote this gay man grooming children, and everyone around is like, what a great headmaster. Like, it's there. Excuse me. And like, what was I gonna say? Wasn't he also like dating Grindelwald too? Who was like, I don't know, was he supposed to be Mussolini or something? I keep forgetting who's supposed to be who in the European war shit. But like, he's supposed to be a bad guy also, right? Like, Dumbledore really loves fascism, I guess, is what you could say. Yeah, why are they all so wild? I still can't get over Cho Chang. Like, you've never met a Chinese person in your life, Joanna. Stop it. Or Joanne, what is Rowling's first? It doesn't matter. Josephina, you've never met a Chinese person in your whole life. Like, what the fuck? Who? It's disappointing. Yeah, he was definitely, you forgot? Yeah, that was the Chinese girl's name. That's not a name. But yeah, he was definitely a Nazi, and he excuse me. Right, that's what I'm saying. That's not a last name. I don't know much about China, but I do know for sure no one's last name is Chang. Right, yeah. It's absolutely not. Plus, I guess, I don't know, it depends if she's westernized, she might have her first name first. But I don't, it's just not gonna happen. No one's gonna call themselves that. It's not happening. That's not a name. Like, JKR really just made racist Chinese noises in her mouth and just decided these two went together. Like, Chang is supposed to be the last name, but I think it can be a given name, but it wouldn't be her last name. Also, like, I don't think Cho is a name just by itself. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The whole thing, it does not matter. It doesn't. Because literally the only way she came up with that is she just did the, like, ching chong ding dong thing with her mouth until she found one that sounded like it could plausibly be a name. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, she looked at a restaurant menu and was like, what sounds Chinese? And just picked some stuff off of it. And that was her character. That was it. That's what she did. Like, I can't get over that people are like, you really think she might have bad opinions? Bruh. She literally just didn't even Google if that would be a legit name. I mean, I guess she was writing this in like 2000. Did Google exist yet? I keep forgetting how many things were invented in my life. She was writing, what year? Right, China starts with Ch, and I will show she's Chinese by using the Ch sound. Hold on. What year was Harry Potter released? I hope they don't bring me the movie, but I don't know how to... What's it called when a book is released? It's called that, right? If it was 2000, I'm finding out right now. Because Google existed like 2000, but that means she would have been writing the book before 2000. She was writing it like 98, 99, right? Like, let's see. I guess we'll go to Wikipedia. Because the Google page did not give me the answer. Published. That's the word I was thinking of. Published. Thank you, Dorita Reen. Yeah, the Philosopher's Stone was published in 97. So I guess she didn't have Google, I guess. But like excuse me. But like you think her editor at least would be like, you can't do this. Never mind, it was the 90s. What am I thinking? Racism was cool in the 90s. It's fine. In fact, they were probably like, wow, progressive, you included an Asian person in this book. So never mind, you're right. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, she didn't fucking know. She didn't fucking care. Google was invented in 98, so right after she finished writing the book. Damn. But wait. Philosopher's Stone came out in 97. But he doesn't date her until Order of the Phoenix in 2003. So hold on. She could have Googled it. Damn, right. And the library? What about the library? Just open up a book. Like, simply, she wants us to open a book. You open a book. Damn. Right, Goblet of Fire? That's right, Goblet of Fire. But still, Goblet of Fire is 2000. So, either way. Like, at that point, she was working with an editor. She couldn't have asked the editor to, like, ask around and find out if that's a name. Like, it wouldn't have been hard, I don't think, to be like, hey, I'm thinking of including this name, but I don't want to come off like an asshole, so, like, is this a real name? And, you know, Josephina decided, no, I don't need to do that. I can just do whatever I want, because I have more rights than God right now. So I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm going to have the racist ass goblins in the bank. I was talking about this earlier. I don't think you were here to read Irene, but like I really believe she's trying to imply that Hagrid is like, if not black, brown, because the way she talks about him and his weird subservience that only like goblins and house elves have makes me think like, yeah, she really thinks, right, yeah, the goblins are a clear Jewish stereotype. Like the house elves are a stereotype based on the house servants that colonial British people had in India. So that's, yeah, just legit slavery moments all over this book. And then she makes fun of Hermione for wanting to end slavery. So I think that's really all we need to know about who Cage, whatever her name is, the author, is as a person. Because one of the main characters says, down with slavery. And the whole book is like, oh, come on. Slavery's fine. They like it. And I just... How was anyone surprised that she was a bad person? How was any person on this planet surprised that the woman who said slavery's cool, slaves like being slaves, was a bad person? Like, she made her main character, Dumbledore, whatever, like, be fucking Nazis. But it's cool because he fought them in the end. Like, how do we know he fought them in the end, to be perfectly honest? Because canonically, like, Voldemort didn't ever fight against him in real life. Right, they like being a house elf. They love it. Like, no, they don't. So, like, but yeah, they never fought together, Voldemort and Dumbledore. Like, how do you know they weren't meeting up because Dumbledore was dating the other guy? How do you know they didn't meet up afterwards to be like, so anyway, this battle was so hot, babe? Like Dumbledore fucking... He was definitely a double agent, right? Oh shit, it's 2:21. I gotta go. Thank you for hanging out. I'll be back tomorrow. I think tomorrow I'm doing... Dobby wanted to be free. Like, he can't have been the only one who wanted to be free. Everybody else just knew better than to say that we're the slave. Like, you think the slaves in the Black South in the United States were walking around telling the white people how much they wanted to be free? Of course you don't say shit like that. You get punished. But anyway, yeah. I'm gonna go. I'll be back tomorrow. It says I'm supposed to do a werewolf, but I'm not gonna be doing that because it just sucks as a stream. It doesn't work well. So I'm either doing Cookie Run or this again. So if you want to hang out tomorrow, you, Doreen, and the other 3 people who are here, I would love to have you. I should be back 11 tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye.
love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running.